Hello and welcome to another how to play video. Now we are learning the game Wildlands by Martin Wallace. In this game you are a faction, one of four, that are competing to get 5 points. And 1 point is to capture one of your own colors gems. The other way to get points is to kill another miniature of the other factions. The first one to 5 points is the winner of the game. So we start with setup. So how do you set up? You set up like this. There are two types of boards, or two different maps, so to say. It's this one, outdoor, and also a cave system. This one is the one that they recommend for beginners. Using this, so we can show a little bit more of the mechanics. The first thing you do is that you choose a board and which map you want to play on. Then you choose a faction and take all the respective things for that faction, like cards, what kind of cards, a little cheat sheet, what kind of cards you do have in your deck, all your figure cards. And as you can see, all the figure cards are in a diorama. It's very beautiful. This is a very beautiful game, you have to say. And then you take your miniatures and your gems. So when you have chosen a faction, you then shuffle your cards. And then you also shuffle these ones. These are zone cards, or what they are called. We'll come to that. We come back to that a little bit later. After you have done that, you deal out 10 of these to each player. Alright, the cards are shuffled for the two factions I have chosen to test with. It's the gladiators and the lawbringers. The lawbringers cards are put out here, like here, open, but these are actually secret. So when you choose your cards, you will not show this to the other characters. This is just for show. So when you choose cards, you take one and put it face down on your character, so the other players don't know where your character will spawn. You will do this 5 times. And a good tactic, or how to think, is that sometimes, depending on your faction's abilities, you want them close, and sometimes you just want them spread apart. Or you can see that you can create traps and people will get in there and stuff like that. When everybody has done this and they have placed the cards face down, they take the remaining 5 cards, and these cards will go to the next player to the left. This character will also put on 5 cards. And I will get this. So the lawbringers receive these cards, and these cards are the spots where your gems would be placed. So we have 5 gems, and all those gems are going out on the board. Because we have lost these gems, so we want them back. Like so. Then all players draw 7 cards from their deck. And 7. And he will do the same. And the player whose gem are on the lowest number will begin. On your turn, you start with revealing a character. If you don't have any more character revealed, you skip this phase. So the first character I want to put out is somewhere that should be tactic, at least. So I just pick one random. I choose you. So the girl goes out on number 9. So it spawns on 9, right here. Then, after you have revealed, you can play as many cards from your hand, your 7-card hand that you just drew, and you can reveal any amount of characters that you wish. Why you want to maybe wait with this is to set traps for other people that you can ambush and attack later on. When you have done everything you want to do, you don't want to do any more actions and play any more cards, you will draw 3 cards, or up to 7. If you have, for example, 6 cards, you only draw 1 card. Otherwise, you always draw 3 cards. Then, token passes to the other player. So let's go through the cards. Each card has icons typed on them, and those represent that type of character you will be able to activate with this card. So for instance, that card can be used to activate the cowgirl if she was spawn, or the thief girl if she was spawn, or the star as we have spawn over there. So what we can do with this card is we can play it, and we can use that ability or that ability. We'll come to what abilities does later. If you only use this ability, the icon, you will only be able to move to one adjacent space. So you play this for the icon and you move one space. We start with the attack icons on your characters, what you can do. So if you have the 1 sword or the double sword, this means that you do 1 damage, and this means that you do 2 damage to the foe on your zone. This means a melee attack. Range attack. If you have line of sight to a character, you can do 1 damage or 2 damage. Magic attack. You can target a zone, either the zone that your character that activates this action is in, or an adjacent to that. And all the characters in that zone takes 1 damage. In the response of an attack card, you're able to defend by the cards in your hand. So say I attacked the yellow player with a sword, and he plays one of his cards that has the sword icon. He means he deflects the damage, so nothing happens. The same is with arrows. These 2 icons defends against those symbols. So even if you have a double damage, one of these icons will do to prevent all the damage. There are other icons also that are worth mentioning. Like the yellow one, that means rally. And it means that you, the character that activates, so let's say he's here. If that character rallies, he's able to move 2 characters on or on an adjacent space. That means he can move there, and that one can move there. It's an efficient way to move more guys. We also have icons that is not represented by any character. These actions are universal, so you can use this on any character you have. Same with someone defending. The defending icons, of course, when you're attacked, must be on that character, like the cow. So if you are defending with the cow, you actually need that flag on the cow character. We also have this card. This card is a special card. It allows you to move 1 step with the first action. You can only choose one of these. So either you choose to move 1 character, anyone, 1 step, or you take 2 cards, or you interrupt another player. When you interrupt a player, it must be after he or she has done an action. So say the yellow just moved. Then I play interrupt. Interrupt means that I am now able to more or less take over his or her turn in a way. So I do an interrupt, then I'm able to play as many cards as I want until I get interrupted again. This represents the active player. The yellow one was the one that activated, and it was his turn. So I interrupted, and I play as many cards as I want. I might want to go forward to something or do something. Maybe I have an awesome plan. If another player is interrupting after one of my turns while I'm interrupting, that player is now able to proceed to play all the cards he or she wants until they don't want to do anymore, and then the turn goes back to the active player, the one with that token. That means that if yellow started the turn, I interrupted, but then blue interrupted me. That means that it just goes back to yellow. I don't get to play anymore. One other icon is the fly icon. The fly icon indicates that you are able to move up to 2 spaces. 1, 2. And it also means that you are able to ignore high ground rules. So it could be 1, 2. Another action I could do that is not printed is that to claim gems, crystals. To claim a crystal, you will need to be in a space where a crystal is. And you will also need to discard 3 of the same cards. That means that I have the star girl on one of the crystals. So I need 3 stars to pick up the crystal. I discard this. and I pick up the gun. And I have my first victory point. When a player attacks another player, for example with this axe guy attacks with a melee on this orange, and the orange player don't have any cards or doesn't want to play any cards to defend himself, he takes a damage. So takes 1 damage cube and put it on his card. If a character takes damage up to his life value, that character dies. And if a character dies, it goes to the player that killed him, to his trophy. So that is also 1 victory point. So line of sight is to determine if you're able to draw an imaginary line through the middle of one of the numbers to the middle of any other number. If it passes through anything that is not in white border, it does not have line of sight. So for example, this one goes like this and it has line of sight. So I'm able to shoot with this card. However, if he would stay here, I would not have line of sight because it's a wall in between. Some tiles is not filled, so that means that they are covered. So that means that this tile is full of rubble and he's able to hide in it. But however, if he stands there and I draw an imaginary line all the way here, I am able to hit. But if he is behind it, he is covered by the rubble and I'm not able to hit. So you are able to hit if the character is in and cover space and your line does not go through any other border or another cover space. You always have line of sight if you are adjacent. There is also high grounds, and these are indicated with these double white line. That means that you need double move points, so you need to play 2 cards with the same character icon to move up here. How line of sight works here, let's put him here, is that he, the yellow one, does not have line of sight upwards, but the one on the high ground always have line of sight downwards. It does not cost an extra to go down. It's always to the zone that you're entering. So if you're entering, cost 2 movement points, and if you're getting back, 1 movement point. As soon as one player have 5 points, which means 5 crystals, 5 defeated characters from another faction, and the combination of those two, the game ends immediately, and that player is the winner.